Tonight, we continue our look at the state of our schools in Arizona. We visited one campus in Glendale where it's been a struggle to keep the school safe for students and staff.
We found cracked walls, cracked floors, and concerns that some of the buildings could crumble, and there is not nearly enough money from the state to fix those problems. Our Dennis Welch is here with this important story as our series continues tonight.
Yeah, in the Glendale public school system and the elementary school district, they are still keeping their schools safe and functioning, but it has been a struggle given their funding. Now, 3 years ago, the Glendale Elementary School District temporarily closed 2 schools during the school year for repairs. So they joined a lawsuit 2 years ago alleging that state funding for school maintenance and repairs was too low and unconstitutional.
Arizona has long since recovered from the Great Recession. The state, flush with cash, has socked away $1 billion in the rainy day fund. Yet staff at this Glendale Elementary School can't even open a classroom door.
Kind of afraid to open it all the way because I think it's holding the frame up.
The busted door, just one of the problems we witnessed at William Jack Elementary, a 50-year-old campus that is coming apart at the seams.
We've had to replace the countertops and stuff, and we fixed this floor once, and this is the result like 3 years later.
Inside, there are cracks in the floors and on the walls.
You can see just how big the crack is there.
Outside, more signs of decay. More cracks at the base of one building and metal rails installed to keep some of these buildings from potentially collapsing.
The engineers felt that there was risk of the wall panels actually falling out if a strong wind like a microburst or something would hit it.
William Jack is just one Arizona school in desperate need of cash. We sent questionnaires to schools throughout the state, asking them about their maintenance and construction needs. We received well over 100 responses, detailing hundreds of millions of dollars in needed repairs and projects they can't afford to pay for.
Oracle Elementary School, they need $13.2 million. They need to replace their school buses, replace the original kitchen equipment from 1973.
We've actually done some assessments, and collectively, at least based on data from a year ago, Glendale would need, at the time, about $55 million to meet its needs.
Some of that money is needed for new books, computers, and other school supplies, said Mike Berrigan, the assistant superintendent for the Glendale Elementary School District. But the bulk of it is needed to repair and maintain schools like William Jack, which Berrigan says should be replaced.
We have 17 schools. Some of our schools were built in the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s. In our opinion, we believe that they have exceeded their useful lifespan. We would prefer that the School Facilities Board build new schools for Glendale so that we're not throwing good money after bad.
The state legislature and the governor appropriated $80 million for building maintenance. That's for the entire state. At the same time, state leaders allocated another $76 million to build 7 new schools, which, taken together, is not even close to the amount of money needed to keep up with all of Arizona's school needs. But even the money that is available is not making its way to the schools fast enough.
I sure would like to know where the logjam is in that. I am hearing some of this feedback of that there's dollars there and allocated, but it's not getting out to the school or the superintendent. That's something I'd like to resolve immediately.
A recent state audit slammed the School Facilities Board, the group that decides which schools get money for construction and repairs. The report shows hundreds of school projects were delayed, posing a health and safety risk.
It's just the government red tape, frankly, that has slowed the process down and has made it somewhat challenging for our district.
The executive director of the School Facilities Board, Paul Bacalus, declined to comment for the story. Meanwhile, Berrigan is challenging the governor, who has made a political career out of cutting business red tape, to do the same for school funding.
You see this gap right here?
So at the very least, his staff won't have to kick in a door just to make sure it's shut.
Now, over the past 3 years, the Glendale Elementary School District has received just over $2 million for repairs for its 17 schools. Again, this is just not limited to Glendale. We've heard from schools all across Arizona who tell us they need money for vital improvements to their schools.
And Dennis, of course, this issue, as you said, not new. We've been talking to districts for years now about how they've had to play the shell game and move money from, the facilities for repair in order to just keep their classrooms operating.
When you talk about education, a lot of people like to refer to and go back to that last year with the Red for Ed movement out there. But this lawsuit that Glendale Elementary School District signed on to was 3 years ago. This was long before the Red for for ed movement. So this is something they've been dealing with for a very long time. They've got some vital issues out there for some of these schools. I mean, you know, you heard some of these schools are working with kitchens from dating back to 1973. You know, it's very hard to keep up.
It's the basics. It's the kitchen stuff. It's HVACs. It's the school shells themselves.
Yeah.
And you said, what, Glendale is one district. They got $2 million for 17 schools spread out over 3 years.
And
that
a
doesn't go very far.
lot of people kind of giving the governor the side eye right now because he has been making a big point about how there's $1 billion in the rainy day fund. That's basically a state savings account for when it's a rainy day out there. A lot of schools saying, look, it's pouring rain where we're at right now. Can't you release some of that? Build us some new schools. Get us some money for some upkeep and some repairs that we need.
An important story. Yeah. Dennis, thanks.